Oh, hi. I didn't see you walk up. I was just about to take the ice bag out for a ride. I don't suppose you want to go. You do? Well, let's go take a ride. I thought while you watched the video about the ride on our ice trike that I'd go ahead and talk about what do I think about the bike. What do I think the bike will be good for? So let's just assume that we ask the question is what do we want the bike to do for us? Do we want to use the bike to go to and from work? Do we want to go to do some grocery shopping? Do we want to go touring with it? Or even do we want to do rides to get fit if we do more than roughly 7+ miles round trip? In my perspective, I only put about 25 hours in seat time in this, and I usually do that when I get a new trike to test or to ride. Before I start making videos with it, I tend to put at least, like I said, 20 to 25 hours in seat time, so I know what the bike's going to do, how it's going to act, I can talk about it. So that's where we're at now. So this trike, I would say it is more like the company Ice. Their mid-range bike. This is their entry-level bike, but I would have to say it's not quite so far away from the entry-level place, because it's still. Personally, I think it's easy to ride, and it's quite easy to maneuver. I can pretty much not have to worry if it does some weird things like steer, or it's pretty predictable on what it does. I think overall it is a kind of like a Swiss Army knife of recumbents or trikes. It does do high speed really well. Especially with me, I don't have the full strength as I would have with a normal rider. I have most of my power in one leg, but it still allows me to use all of my power and put down on the ground. What I mean by that is, as you see here, we're going uphill, and I am traveling about, I would say, 5 miles to 7 miles an hour, and I'm feeling pretty comfortable at this moment going up this hill. It's pretty steep. It's a short hill, but usually on a normal sized hill, with this bike I'm traveling about 7 to 9 miles an hour. So this hill right now that you see is quite more steeper than the hills that I'm usually traveling on. So what I was meaning by Swiss Army knife is this bike could be used for going back and forth to work. You can use it for touring because it's designed to have saddlebags on the back, and so you can put a considerably good amount of weight on it. And when you're not using it for touring or anything like that, you can take off the bags and use it to go back and forth to work, or those long rides that you do to get fit, meaning like I said, those 10 or 7+ mile rides round trip. this is pretty good at. It's pretty sporty. It has 20-inch rims all the way around. It used to be that to get a trike with good top speed, is generally you want a trike that has a 26 plus rim in the back. With today's technology, it's getting so good that the gearing is getting so good that you can still have that 20-inch rim in the back, and that allows you to go up hills better and more efficiently. What I mean by that is, most of the hills that I go up, I have been going up with this bike. I don't really have to downshift gears in the front. On this hill I did, but on most light hills that I've been going up, I've been noticing that I don't have to change gears in the front from the big gear to the middle gear. And I think that's good. I think that saves some time in the long run, and it's better that you keep your speed going up hills if you can manage it. So let's talk about as you watch the ride. Let's talk about the kind of features that the bike has that I think is good design wise. First, as you can see here, that the bike has multiple levels of comfort adjustment. It does have a quick release for the seat frame and seat. You can actually take off the seat off the front of the body fairly quickly, because the bike can also fold up on itself, so you can transport it in almost any small car of a trunk. I think that's a good thing, a good feature it has. It has a quick release on the frame, so with a hinge, as you can see here. So like I said, to transport it, you can do that. And it also has a quick release, as you see, for the handlebar. These handlebars can come out further apart away from the body to give you that comfort adjustment, or the handlebars can even go point forward or point more backward if that is more comfortable for your wrist. So overall, it does have a lot of adjustment for comfort to get that perfect right fit. So once you get that fit, you're gonna feel like you're gonna be looking forward to your next ride with it. And I think that's the big key for these trikes, is to get that perfect adjustment for your body style, and so you don't put too much stress on your back or any part of your body that you're having issues with. This is a good bike for that. It has so many different adjustment points. It also has features like it's still a pretty light bike for what it is. Not as light as our racing trike, but nevertheless, it still puts the power down quite efficiently, in my perspective. The down part, I think, that the bike has is not a big downfall, or not a big issue. It's just it has a lot of nuts and bolts to it, and fasteners, such as on the rear swing arm, it's held on the pivot by 2 Allen bolts that, when I got the bike, was pretty loose, because I found out that the 2 halves of the frame were flexing more than I thought it should. And I noticed that they were loose, so I did tighten them up, and it fixed the issue. So I would rate the bike to be more, I would say, more maintenance than a typical entry-level bike would. But if you get used to doing nut and bolt checks every, I would say, a month or so, or if you felt that the bike was getting more play in the system than usual, but overall, I think once you put Loctite on the threads of the bolts, I don't think you might have as much issues with bolts and nuts get loosened. But overall, I do think that this bike or trike is a very good bike to start with. It's not too low seat wise, it's not too high, but it's still pretty low profile nevertheless, and I think that's the key to a good recumbent trike, because of, you don't want the trike to be too high off the ground, because you'll start to get into more of a high profile, and then it could essentially flip over more easily in turns, and generally you don't want that feeling of, am I gonna flip over in this turn, or things like that. But with this bike, I don't have that feeling. I don't have that issue of thinking, oh well, am I gonna go down this hill and get some speed going, and then on the bottom of the hill have a turn that I might flip over. Generally with this type of design of bike, you don't have that issue, but there are bikes that I have ridden in the past that are tadpole design, that are higher off the ground, and then they tend to, I would try to turn them at medium speed, and I have flipped one over before a few times, and I still actually have it in my fleet, and I just found that with the lower profile trikes, that it's better for handling and having the bike being stable, and I actually prefer that. The downside is you get a lot of drivers making comments to you. I couldn't see you when I passed you until I was right up on you, and by that time I was already, passing you. I think you should have a flag or something on your bike. And I would have to agree that that bike is pretty low. Most of these tadpoles are low, but they are low for a reason, and that gives you more control, and that gives you more confidence in your ability with the bike. And I think that's the key to most of these tadpole trikes too, is just that. And yes, like I said, I do hear a lot about flags, and I didn't see you when I passed you, and that may be true. But the thing is with me, I keep telling people that I don't like flags because with my disability, for some reason, people that have CP, a lot of things, it's not that they get scared, but for whatever reason, we tend to be jumpy. And for example, when I had the flag on the bike, and if the sun makes a shadow on the ground of the flag, that the flag's kind of moving around fairly quickly, I kind of, in that moment, I think, oh, someone's coming up behind me, I better move, and I react to that, the shadow of the flag on the ground. So at what point does the flag turns into a safety feature, and the flag works against me. So there's a fine line of that in itself, and that's what I try to tell people too. It's like, this, I get what you're saying. I agree that you should be able to see me, but here's why I don't have a flag. And I try to understand, put myself in their perspective, and I try to do. Overall, that's why I don't have flags, or in this case, on this bike, I do have a flag. I chose my own type of flags, like custom flags, to more, to more my personality out there. I don't like the typical neon orange flag, because I kind of feel like I'm putting a label on myself saying, hey, here's a handicapped person, you better watch out. I much rather, if I'm gonna have a flag, I much rather have a custom flag that that represents my personality. If I can help it, if I have to have the flag. Anyway, I know I'm going on a little ramble, and I'm sorry for that, but that's just my point of view with flags. And at this point, we, as you can see, we're going downhill again. We're going about 17 miles an hour at this point. I did have the video sped up a little bit, so it looks like it's going a lot faster. But really, we're going about 17 miles an hour. The brakes are working very well at this point, keeping the bike under control. But overall, if you were going to ask me, would this be a good starting bike or trike, I would have to say, yeah, it's pretty low maintenance so far, even despite the fact that this bike is second hand. I do feel that it wouldn't be so high maintenance that anybody, someone that just got into it would have to do, besides maybe putting oil on the chain once a month, depending on how much they were using the bike. But overall, I think the Ice Trike is a all-around solid bike, and it seems like the company did put some good quality parts on it. Even, like I said, having this bike second hand, all the parts that are still on it are still holding strong. And at this point, as much as I know that this bike is about 5 or 6 years old, and it still feels pretty solid. However, I have ordered some new tires for it, because the two front tires that are on it right now, one of the tires are dry rotted and starting to crack, and the other one is still in good condition. But my rule of thumb is, when you get a new to you bike or a used bike, I prefer to buy all new tires, and not just any tires that are made for touring, because if you are gonna put high mileage, or if you're gonna ride the bike a lot, you should probably have some good touring tires on it. These tires that this bike has, they're not only designed for road, but they are designed for high PSI. These tires are holding about the maximum 115 PSI. I don't always have them at the highest PSI. I like running them about maybe 105 PSI. So at least it kind of gives the rim some cushion. And plus, I try to take under consideration of right now we're into the summer, and heat tends to expand the air inside the tire. So in my mind, if I give the tire room to expand, I'm not going to have a blowout because of too much pressure. And two, the ride quality changes when the tire has too much pressure over the limit of the recommend PSI that the factory gives you. So, we're almost at the end of the ride. We have a couple more minutes left, but I hope that by doing this voiceover and talking about the bike, that it gives you more of a perspective about the ice bike. Like I said, this isn't Ice's like top tier bike or trike. I think this is right around the mid range of what they're offering. I'm sure they have their own version of a complete entry level bike, and they do have their own version of their high end bike, which means it's built for racing and complete control and handling. But overall, I do recommend this bike to be for those people that are getting into tricycle riding, and if they want something that they can tour with, or even just to do long rides, and it's pretty comfortable. The seat position gives you more of a natural upright seating position and not too far back. So yeah, I really recommend this bike as a whole. And I don't know the price point of this bike, but I imagine it's right around the $4,000 to $5,000 range. I have to check up on that. But overall, I'm very impressed with this bike or trike, sorry. And like I said, we'll be doing so much more videos with it. I'm thinking about taking it camping and seeing how it performs that way, because that's kind of what this bike should be capable of doing. So I was planning on doing like a camping trip with it before the summer ends. So be looking forward to that video. But other than that, tell me what you think about this video and about the ice trike. I really hope that I gave you a lot of information that you can use if you were interested on buying a bike like this. Maybe not from the company Ice, but maybe a similar bike of another company. And if that's what you're doing, comment down below. I would like to see your story or interest about you getting into tricycle riding or incumbent riding. Other than that, thank you again for watching this video all the way. And with that said, make sure you get your helmets, get water bottles, and ride safe. Bye for now.